Alright guys, we just got done dropping off Bill's truck to him. Got back to the yard here, and we're gonna go, I think, fetch the new project. I've kind of got my plate full of long-term projects, so I need something that's like a short-term to medium-term project that we got. So we got the Dodge behind me. It's all warming up, and we're gonna go out in the yard. We're gonna fetch a short-term, medium-term project. So basically what we want to do is have something that's like pretty good reward for a short period. It's not going to be like a crazy project, but something fun that we can play with and then, you know, build up and use. So the off-road truck is a large project, and we have the Trailblazer apart in the shop. So I can't really move the Trailblazer out of the shop till I get the motor done on it, and I'm still kind of up in the air about where I want to go or what we want to do with it. So in the meantime, we need something to go off-road with, be able to kind of not be worried if I hurt it. And I have an S10 that was built by another guy, and it's got good bones. It does run and drive. The front end's broke in it, so we need to do some work on that. And then we'd like to do something different with the bed, make it a little more useful for the off-road recoveries and some of that stuff too. So we're gonna go grab it out of the yard and bring it in the shop and look at it and see what we're gonna do. So here we go. So I'll give you a little walk around on this S10, kind of let you know what we got going and what we're planning on doing. So it's a 90s model S10 with a 4.3 V6 in it, GM V6, and it has a manual transmission like a 5-speed. It does have a Jeep Cherokee front end under it. The axles are out of it. The ring and pinion is broke in it. So it's got problems. But it is a good start to a fun off-road truck. The bed, as you can see, is really rusty and bad. So I think we're probably just going to do away with the bed and build a tube bed for it. But we'll see how it works. The interior is dirty and nasty. Needs to be cleaned up, but for an off-road truck, it'll be pretty good. I did drive it to where it sits. We are going to tow it into the shop just because I don't trust that front end and the wheel from falling off. Without the axle shafts in there, it doesn't hold the bearings together, and that lets the wheel fall off. So we got a bolt in it right now, but that's not the best idea. It made it to here, but we got the wrecker. We can do something with it. So we're gonna get this thing hooked up with the wrecker. We'll get it back in the shop. We'll look it over, kind of formulate a plan on what we're gonna do with it. Well, we got it back to the shop, sitting here behind me here, and we'll kind of go through it. That Cherokee front end, it's underneath it. It's got a bunch of droop to it. It goes quite a long ways. I think we've maxed out our vent line. Looks like our brake lines have some good slack in them. So it should off-road pretty well. It should flex pretty good. We'll have to figure out the rears and decide what we're looking at on them for droop and stuff. We might have to do some work on it to make it articulate a little better. But it has 4 flat tires. I don't know if I'm in love with the wheels. Looks like they're 18s. Yeah. Which I could live with that. They aren't as bad as I thought they were. So we might still go with them, but we'll just do a lot more aggressive tire. I need to figure out tire size and some of that stuff that we need to do too. So we'll get it tires aired up, get it in the shop, and then we'll go from there. front end out of it. We took the old one out. It was busted up. It was a low pinion Dana 30. And decided we were going to replace it with a high pinion Dana 30. This has a Synergy Race Parts Super 10 Cherokee axle kit in it. And you can see it's a pretty good setup. I don't know why they stopped making it. I guess demand went down, but they come with the cross member with the lower mounts here and the upper mounts and all the stuff. The shocks are blowed out of it. Cleaned up the track bar here, and this tie rod, it's got 1-ton Chevy K20 axles in it, or K30 tie rods in it. And so this one's bad, we'll have to replace it, but we're getting there. As you can see, everything under here is extremely dirty, but it's all there at least. The yoke's quite a ways out at full droop. I think we're going to end up putting a slip yoke eliminator on it. Looks like it's running the stock S10 rear end, 410 gears. It's supposed to have a locker in it, but I don't think it does. These shocks are bad as well. We got the front end out. We cut the track bar mount off the old one. I figured, well, if we're going to be doing this, we're going to put a high pinion in it to gain at least a little bit of strength. Basically, the front end was blowed up. The axles are broke, missing one completely. So it wasn't no good. So we took the high pinion front axle housing, upgraded it, and I'll walk you through that. But the old one, the low pinion, basically it had chewed the teeth off the pinion here, and it chewed the teeth off the ring gear. It bolts on here. We were going to use this housing. It had a Spartan locker in it, and we put it in, tried setting it up, and this flange right here is bent from where it had lost the ring and pinion. It was out probably 3 or 4 thousandths. So that one's garbage. These are just the bearings and the leftover pieces from it. We did order up a Vevor bearing pillar kit, and it does work amazing, but the plug was too small a diameter to fit inside here, so we had to take it down to the other shop and machine the plug so that it actually fits in the barrel. After that, it works great. So this is the high pinion Dana 30 that we got for this thing. It's out of like a 92 Cherokee. It actually come out of a like a 99 Cherokee. Somebody had swapped it into a 99 Grand Cherokee, and it had 355 gears in it, open differential, and so we went through, did new ball joints. We swapped over the knuckles off the original front end because it's drilled for the 1-ton Chevy stuff, and the passenger side knuckles drilled for the high steer up here. So went through, did upper ball joints, all that stuff. This is the track bar mount. We cut off the other housing, and I wasn't worried about saving the other housing, so we just literally cut a hole in the housing all the way around it, and then got it out on the bench and cleaned it up. The other thing you'll notice is the lower mounts. We got the rock guards on them from Trail Forged. We got the Trail Forged brace kit for the upper mount here. It's not too bad. This truck isn't going to be really crazy, so this should be plenty enough. We ended up putting a set of G2 gears in it in 4:10 ratio. We got the Spartan locker in it. We had to bring in another housing to get a carrier out of. That was parts. It's going to go out for parts. This housing is a parts housing. We brought it in. It had no axles in it or wheel bearings or that stuff. And so it's going to end up heading back out and being located for sale. Well, we'll bring it back in here. I'll show you what we got. We got the axle shaft on the passenger side. Then we're running the stock axle. We got the hub on it. We got everything torqued down. Now we just got to put a cotter pin in the axle. And then we're good to move on to the other side. The problem with the other side is when we pulled it, the axle come with the hub, so we're going to have to put a puller on it and push it off. Elliot's going to put this thing in. He said he's just going to throw it right up in there. Put it on his shoulder. Front end probably weighs as much as you do.
Nah, easily twice.
We haven't decided about some bolts. We're going to light out up there. It's kind of dark under here.
Alright, Mojo.
Okay. So we want to roll the front end up.
You go for yours, that's fine.
Just roll it up higher and higher and higher. There we go. Now come back with the axle. Alright, that's damn close to the hole. As long as it stays where it's at.
I need to put this one.
Hang on. Just wait. Because moving it around is just screwing this side up. We can get that bolt through there. There we go. Okay, now we can get that side lined up. Pick the upper up. The upper arm here. There you go. Go from the inside towards the out with the bolt.
Why have you got this room on this side?
Huh?
I got 2 threads on this side.
Let's see. Is that side bigger? Definitely could be. All right. I have something for just such an occasion.
Are you giving it right here?
No, I grabbed the same length, and then you're gonna have to run a washer on it, but we can check it. And I grabbed a 1/2 inch longer.
Yeah, that'll work.
Just in case. Because, you know, if you get exactly what you need, it's never exactly what you need. So what's the view look like from New Zealand?
Well,
You're American now.
mate, regardless of how this build ends, if that's what you're asking, it looks fucking great from my house.
In mock-up, we already went and cycled it and checked it and everything else, so. Looks really good even for my house at this point. My house is only right there. Well, guys, we figured we'd bring you back in. We've been doing the work on the front end, and I'll kind of walk you through that and then let you know where we're at now. So, we got the front end bolted in. We don't have no shocks on it right now. We're still sizing them up and everything. It's hanging down a little lower than full droop at this point, but everything's in there, bolted up, right. These wheels we're going to use, but they're 31-inch tall tires that are wore out, but it's just to roll it around right now. So it's fairly well dealt with. Like I said, we still got some issues on the brake line and a few little things like that to get this thing to be right. I think we'll end up relocating, extending this brake line back over to here or something, so that way our brake line's proper. Other than that, everything's bolted up. It's all good. Looks good. Pinion angle's good. All the links are good. Everything worked together really well on the front end. So we were trying to get the wheels on it. I haven't got the tires yet for it, but we were trying to get the wheels bolted onto it, and we come across a problem with the rear suspension here. The wheels won't fit this, or won't fit. The wheels we're wanting to use, the black ones, won't fit on here. The bolt pattern's wrong. So we found out that basically the bolt pattern on the rear was 5-on-5 and not 5-on-4.5, like I figured it'd be, because I don't know, all 4 of the same wheels. I figured they'd be the same bolt pattern. Turns out they're not. And they had actually re-drilled the rear axles and drums. This is the S10 rear end, and I figured they'd re-drilled it to 5-on-4.5 instead of 5-on-4.75, like what this pattern is, which is the stock S10 pattern, and they'd actually drilled it to 5-on-5. So come to find out, the wheels I got were 5 on 4.5 on the front, 5 on 5 in the rear, and the 18-inch chrome ones that were on it. And it turns out that like they'd re-drilled the rear to fit the 5 on 5. So I wasn't like as heartbroken about that to start as I could have been, because basically, you know, this has a 8.5-inch 10 bolt in it out of an S10 with a gov lock in it, and it's not the best thing I can run. So we decided to do it the right way, and it was kind of a good excuse to do it the way I wanted to do it anyways. So here's our solution. We got a disc brake 8.8 out of an Explorer, and we're going to put it in there. It's 410 gears, limited slip, so it'll be a good setup. We'll have disc brakes, and we'll have the 5 on 4.5 bolt pattern that we need. So it's a good swap. They do it on XJs all the time. For lack of a better way of putting it, this thing is basically an XJ, like the axles and the suspension and all that setup. So we're just going to reconfigure this 8.8, do the mounts, do a few things on it, and put it in this S10. They make a flange adapter to go from this to a 1310 U-joint on the drive shaft, so I don't have to change drive shaft. So it should be fairly straightforward and easy. From what I've read, it's about 1.5 inches narrower than a XJ Dana 44 or XJ Dana 35, which is about 3/4 of an inch on each side, which I don't really figure is going to have much of an effect. We are running a tube bed, so I don't have to worry about nothing hitting on this, so it shouldn't be a big deal at all. So I'll bring it back in when we start doing the work. Too heavy in the front. All right, that's clear. Sway bar mounts cut off. Now it gets grind. And I'll see about getting the lower mounts, axle over mounts off, and get the axle under mounts on it. Well, fam, I figured I'd give you an update on this thing, on this S10 here. We got a lot done, and we're not done. We ran into some problems. I had to order a few things for it. I wanted to have this thing back down on to its wheels this week, but it just wasn't in the cards. Basically, we ended up having to order 3 wheels because we have 2 the same on this thing, and one that's a different offset for some reason. I don't know why. They were off a Grand Cherokee. I assume they'd be all the same offset, but they're not. As you can see here, we still don't have a rear end under it. And there's a reason for that. We ran into some problems with that as well. And I can kind of walk you through that stuff too. So basically, this one was the first one we brought in. It was a 4:10 ratio, limited slip, out of a Explorer. But what I didn't notice is the housings broke and the tube sliding out. It wasn't slid out until we brought it in, and then it became pretty obvious. I did notice there was some oil buildup on there, but I didn't really think a whole lot of it until we got it in here and got looking at it. And so that one's broke. It's going to be parted out for parts. And you guys saw that earlier in the video. And here is the other one that we were working on just a minute ago in the video. It's been actually yesterday we were working on it. And we ran into some problems with it. They were self-inflicted problems, but they're still problems. So as you saw in the video earlier, we got the sway bar mount cut off and ground off. This side, the perch is off here, but we ran into trouble on the other side perch. I had Elliot working on it. He'd never cut them before, and I know everybody's gonna say, well, you just torch them off, grind them off, buy new ones. That's the easiest, best way to go about it, and it probably is. Like 20, 30 bucks. It's not worth trying to save them. But in me teaching my guys, when I first started doing this stuff, I had to save the mounts because I didn't have the money to buy mounts. And it's a good skill to have in being good at cutting with a grinder, or like a cutoff wheel on a grinder. It's a good skill to have, to be able to be very accurate with a cutoff wheel on a grinder. Our guy was new about it, and he hadn't done it before. He raised concerns with me about it, but in my opinion, there's no time like the present to learn. He got into the housing too much, and we were gonna have to weld the housing. At that point, we had 3 options. We could either weld it and hope it doesn't warp, which is pretty unlikely. 2, we could take it apart. We could put the Mittler Brothers jig I have in it and weld it, and then that should keep warping to a minimum as well. And 3, we could just start over with another housing. Either take a 373 housing that I got out in the differential rack that we did this summer, or get another 411 limited slip that I have out in the yard and start over on the housing. That's a for sure thing. It's easier, and it's probably a little more work in the short term, but probably less work in the long term. So I left it up to him, and he chose to weld it and see what happened. Hope for the best. And everybody's gonna say I shouldn't have done that. I should have guided him better. But people have to see what happens, when stuff doesn't work or when stuff goes wrong, and proper decision making and some of that stuff. He decided to roll the dice on this one, and as he started welding it, there got some porosity in the weld. The welds were good welds, they just had some porosity. He had to grind some of them back out. It looks like he got into it a little too much, grinding the one out again. I had to leave and go do some errands Friday there, and so when I come back, it was at this point. It's just a new guy and learn how to do stuff, and that's how you learn stuff, is you make mistakes and you learn what not to do. And I've done it for years. Back when I didn't have money, I still don't have that much money, but when I didn't have any money, you'd have to save the saddles and you had to put them back on. And I think it's a valuable tool to have in your toolbox to be able to make stuff work and be accurate and not have to spend money, that sort of deal. Yeah, it's not a big deal to order them up. I have ones on order and that sort of thing, but it's a skill set, to be accurate and to be, accountable, like, if you screw something up, you just kill the housing kind of thing. I feel that that's an important skill set to learn in life nowadays. Sometimes you can't fix it. If you screw up, you gotta look at your options and pick the best one. So basically, when I come back in yesterday, looked at the housing, and I'll show it to you here. Basically, if you look at it, you're gonna see that it is warped. It starts right here, kind of kicks up here because of this weld right here, and then it kicks up even more right here at this weld. And so you can see the warp to it. I grabbed a straight edge just because that seems like something to do. And I put it on there, and you hold it on the tube there, and it definitely kicks up. And the bottom's the same way. The bottom shows that it kicks up in this direction. So this housing is junk. Now we got 2 options on how we're going to handle it. We can either pull a whole nother complete rear end like this one with the 410 and the posi or the locker or limited slip or whatever they put it in the Fords. We can pull a whole nother one and do the same thing we did to this one, cut the mounts off, that sort of deal, and move forward. Or I have other housings out in the differential rack. I have a 373 housing that's just got gears in it, no axles or nothing else. We can take that housing, we can take all the guts out of this housing, put it in that one, and we'd be good to go. I'm kind of leaning towards that direction just because I have 2 bad housings on the floor right now, and I really don't want to just, put this one out of the way for right now. I'd rather take the stuff out of this one and put it in the other housing and make one good one, because that seems like the efficient thing to do. It may take a little more time. It's good though. The guys can see some setting up of gears again. We did the front end, but I can go through them, through with them on setting up gears and some of that stuff. I don't expect them to be good at setting up gears or even remember how to set up gears when we're done with this, but at least they're familiar with it. And that's kind of the objective is, I'm not teaching them how to go out to a shop and be, a fabricator, or go out to a shop and be a gear guy. It's more just about being familiar with it, not being scared of it, just kind of having a general understanding of how it works. And so I think that's what we're probably going to do. It's going to take a little bit more time to do that, because we'll get the housing, we'll prep it, we'll strip this, and we'll put everything in this and into the other one. But that's going to be for another video. With the Christmas holiday, or with the holidays upon us, we're going to be taking some days off, and everybody's getting to spend time with their family, celebrate, do whatever they're going to do for however they celebrate their holiday. And so I wanted to wrap this video up and get it out before the holiday. Just so I can say, from Auto Recyclers and everybody, all the Auto Recyclers family, Auto Recyclers parts, towing, YouTube, that, we want you guys to have a great, safe, and happy holidays. Merry Christmas, or whatever holiday you guys celebrate. Or even if you don't celebrate, spend time with your family, have fun, reflect, spend money, do whatever you're going to do. Whatever that entails. And so that's kind of what we want to convey is, no matter what you do for this holiday, do it. We're gonna spend Christmas with our family, and we've actually had an early Christmas tonight with Chevelle and her boyfriend, and they're headed to California to celebrate Christmas with his family, and so I wish them the best. We're gonna take them down to the airport and drop them off and go pick them up in a week. So for this week, it'll be a little hectic. We're probably going to have some more stuff going on the truck later this week. When the parts get here, we got wheels coming in, we got shock tabs coming in, we got some shocks coming in. I did get the wheels, or the tires that we're going to use. There's a set of used tires that a friend of mine had. They'll be perfect for this because they really don't need nothing that special. It'll be something fun to run around in. So we got some exciting stuff set up for the next year here. We'll let you guys in on that probably in the next video here, and go through what we're going to do for 2025. You guys have done a whole bunch in helping us out, and I think the YouTube channel has been successful. We're getting over 700 subscribers. I think we're going to have some exciting stuff for when we hit either 1,000 or 1,500 subscribers. We're kind of leaning into it. I like doing it. It's been a bit of an adjustment, but I think it's been a good adjustment. But we'll get into that in the next video. So you guys are caught up on the S10. It's where we're going to be at for the next 4 or 5 days until parts get here. We come back from the holiday break and our employees get back here, that sort of deal. So I wanted to get this out and say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Kwanzaa, or Festivus, or whatever you may celebrate. So till the next video, thanks for watching.